Hi, welcome to Testing with RK. In this session we will be discussing about variables and data types. Variables are containers for storing data, and data types are the one that defines what kind of data should be held within these containers. To define a variable, we have to define what type it is. Type, then variable name, and then assign a value to it. In this video we will be talking about some of the very common data types that you might encounter while developing your automated test scripts. First one is int, which holds the integer value. To define it, int integer variable and then 100. To print that variable, let's say console write integer, and you could see this is the true strength of the Visual Studio Editor, that it is automatically, IntelliSense is also already start picking up all the variables that you have defined. And as we said from the previous session, that to run any program, first you have to build and then run, and you could see the value is being printed here, 100. So int is a data type which defines the variables having the value of integer value or whole number. The next data type we will be discussing is double. To store fractional values, we will use double. So double fractional variable 199, again to print that your fractional variable, fractional variable. The next data type we have is a string data type. A string data type is to store a group of characters. We will use string data type. To define it, string variable is equals to welcome to the world of automation. String variable. The next data type we have is char. Now char is a data type to store a single character, to store single character or letter. To define it, we have char, char variable, and if you would have noticed that in here for storing a single character we are using a single quote, whereas if you're storing a group of characters, often known as string, it would go under the double quotes. The next data type we are going to discuss is bool. Bool or boolean is basically to store true or false, 1 or 0 value. So basically if you want to store boolean value, i.e. true or false, then we will use bool data type. Okay, to define it, bool variable, and then true. It can only take true or false. And then bool variable. Let's build this project. Build succeeded, and let's run it. So as we have, so it's printing 100 from the integer value, fractional value 199. Welcome to the world of automation, printing the character and then the boolean value true. And that's about it. These are the very common data type that we usually encounter while building the test automated scripts. Now you would notice that naming your variable is a very important thing, because once you start building your test automated scripts, and you will understand that you will have so many lines of code, and if you're defining some variable which mean nothing or doesn't make sense out of it, then it will be very difficult to understand that piece of code. In C#, it is a good practice to define your variables in a camel case. Now what camel case is basically, if you notice a camel, it usually has hump. So if you see this variable right now, it started with lowercase, and then where I want to begin the next character, I have the first letter as capital. So if you see string variable, char variable, bool variable, so it makes it more it's easier to read that way. Now we will look at the few of the data types that you may want to use is long and float. These are the two data types that we didn't talk about. Basically what long is another version of integer. So long can also hold whole numbers, but basically on a larger range. On a larger range. Whereas float is same as double. The only difference is that float can take a decimal digit up to 6 to 7 decimal digits, whereas double takes a larger. So basically you could see the size it holds is 8 bytes. On that note, since you have seen it now and you have, I would recommend you to practice, but what we will do is we'll take a quick quiz on what we have learned so far. So I want you to create a variable named myNumber and assign a value of 100 to it. Pause this video, write your answer, and when you're ready, play it again. So the answer is int myNumber 100. Basically int is the data type, myNumber is the variable, and then the value going 100 to it. Next question. Create a variable named myname and assign the value Dave to it. So pause this video, write your answer, and when you're ready, play it again. And the answer is string myname and Dave. Next question. Display the sum of 5 and 10 using two variables x and y. Okay, so I want you to fill the blank here. Okay, pause the video, and when you're ready, there it is. So int is a variable, x is the type 5, int y is another variable 10, console.writeLine x plus y basically prints 15 on the console. Next question. Create an int variable called z, assign x plus y to it, and display the result. Basically you have to fill the blank in here. Pause the video, write your answer, and when you're ready, play it again. So the answer is int x is equals to 5, int y is equals to 10, int z is equals to x plus y, which is 5 plus 10, and then we want to display the result, basically that value in here. You would have noticed by now is that the variables that we are adding are basically of similar data type. So basically x plus y, and adding character to character or integer to integer, double to double. In the next session we will be discussing about adding types of different data type, adding variables of different data types, and how we can cast them. Create an int variable x, which is a constant and has a value 100. So that one we haven't discussed, so let's talk about that. Okay, to define a const variable. So why would you want to use why do you want to create a constant variable? Think of it in a scenario where you are running an application, and in the application there is the name of your company remains same. It is not going to change. The name of the application is going to remain same, and that name is visible on the title bar of every title bar. What you want to do is that you want to store that data in a variable which remains constant and doesn't change. Another example is that if you want to store a value of pi in a variable, we know pi is a constant and we don't want to change it. So what we can do is const int constant variable, and I would say 100. Now if I do this now, constant variable, I would get error straight away because that is an illegal operation. It says the left hand side of the assignment must be a variable, which it can't be because right now it is a const. If I remove it, it resolves the problem. So const, basically what it does is that if you want to define a variable which should never change, then you put that keyword called const and that value will be used everywhere. Okay, so I would like you to create an integer variable called x, which is a constant, and assign a value of 100 to it. So pause the video, write your answer, and when you're ready, play it. So the answer is const int x is equals to 100. Cool. Add the correct data type to the following variables. Okay, so looking at the values on the right, what I want you to do is guess what kind of data type should go for these particular variables in here. Okay, pause the video, write your answer, and when you're ready, play it again. So the answer is number 9 is an integer value, so I'll put int. 9.99 is a fractional value, and for fraction we use double. To store a single character we use something called char. To store true or false Boolean states we use a data type called bool, and to store a collection of characters we have a data type called string. Okay, so the next question, I would like you to create a variable called greeting and display the value of it. So remember from our tutorial what we said, you define the type, you define the variable name and the value, and then you have to print it. So write your answer, pause the video, and when you're ready, play it again. So the answer is string greeting hello console.writeLine greeting. Okay, so the key here, guys, is to practice constantly playing with these variables and data types, and once you get a little bit of understanding of it, as we go in the basic sessions, C# with basic training, what I will do is I will give a scenario where we can use these kind of things in building our automated test scripts. For now, that's it. Thank you for joining me in this session, and I'll see you in the next session. Thank you.